Hi, I'm Shiloh with Forever Handmade, and I am setting out on a hand-spun adventure. I'm going to be working my way through Spinner's Book of Yarn Design. In the Spinner's Book of Yarn Design, Sarah Anderson walks through techniques to spin 80 different yarns, and I'm pretty excited to spin all of those. The book starts out with chapter 1 with a lot of spinning basics, everything from tools and equipment to drafting methods and fiber prep. She jumps into the hands-on material in chapter 2, singles for plying. How do I plan to get through this book? One sample at a time. I'm going to use fiber that I have in my stash. I just happen to have about 12 different varieties of top from varying wool breeds from a sampler that I never quite made my way through. I'm starting with some Rambouillet, and I plan to select wool that is appropriate for the yarn that Sarah Anderson is walking us through. I believe that I know a lot of the stuff and a lot of the techniques that we're going to address in the book, but I'm going to take it as if I'm a total beginner. If she recommends a specific prep, that's the prep I'm going to use. If she recommends a specific type of wool, say a long wool, that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to take it one sample at a time and learn as much as I can from this. So before I dive fully into this experiment, I wanted to spend a little time spinning my default yarn. Your default yarn is that yarn that you kind of fall back on, that really easy to spin drafting method, spinning wheel, fiber that you just love to spin, and it's super easy. You don't have to put a whole lot of effort or thought into it to get the yarn that you are hoping for. I use my default yarn a lot if I'm going to be spinning in public or in a group because I don't get distracted and I don't have to think a lot about it to actually produce a yarn. And I also use it as kind of a palette cleanser in between like very large focus projects, say spinning a whole fleece for a sweater. So I'm going to start by sampling that so I have something to compare future samples to. When I spin my default yarn, I typically use a short forward draft, letting twist between my fingers. I've got my wheel set up on a medium speed, like just a medium whirl of whichever wheel I'm using. I've got my uptake light enough that the single doesn't rip out of the fiber source when I let go to let twist in between my fingers. And that's it. I try to draft at a relatively consistent interval with a kind of consistent distance. And as you can see, that doesn't always work out. But yeah, this is my default yarn. I can work pretty easily with this spinning method in a group. If I'm traveling, I get a yarn that I like. I usually use this as a default for working through, say, a beautiful braid that I just want to see what happens with it. That's my default yarn, and that's where I'm going to start. I will probably end up spinning about 6 grams of this. I'm going to go ahead and take a Plyback sample of this so I have a basis for comparison and I can take a look at the singles I'm spinning for the next part of this. So I'm just going to take about 24 inches total, let it ply back on itself, and then just break it off of both the single and the fiber source. I like to tie a little knot in it, I don't know why, and set it aside. Then go back to what I was doing. So what's next? I am going to dive right into the hands-on work in the book. Chapter 2 is spinning singles for plying, and we're going to start out with spinning fine and all of the mechanics and methods that it takes to spin really fine yarn. So that will be fun. I know I can do it, but let's see how fine I can spin in the next one. If you're interested in following me along on this adventure, feel free to like this video and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.